be sheriff. How about we start acting like one?
Little Red Riding Hood, you're everything, a big bad wolf, go on.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I am the Dapper Man. I just want to thank you for clicking onto this video, and if you wish to, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, like, comment down below, and subscribe. I just figured I'd go ahead and just get that out of the way so I don't bore you with that at the end of the video. So now that it's over with, let's talk about this movie. This movie is a very interesting movie because I actually watched the trailer. I did a trailer reaction. This is the first time I think I did a trailer reaction towards a video I'm actually going to be reviewing the movie for. So if you wish to watch that, the link is posted right there for you. And I'm just going to say there's a trope that's happening with movies that seems to be pretty recent. I've been finding them with the Redbox movies and Netflix movies, and I think it needs to end. I'm not liking it. I think it's a very bland, boring concept, and that is the titling. When they put the titles, the font on it, and the actors' names, the credits and everything else, the beginning credits, they're so tiny. They're so small. You could barely see them. That's exactly what I'm talking about right there. You could barely see them. And in fact, it's so bland and white out with the white background, I barely knew what I was reading. That's for you that's like nerd like me likes to read. And another thing is this movie has some very odd scenes in it.
Do not tell me to chill.
Okay. Yeah. It still creeps me out. I can't tell you how many times I've actually reversed this particular scene because it made no sense. Like there was something missing. But I'm getting a little bit too ahead of myself. Let's talk about this movie. So The Wolf at Snow Hollow is what I would call a horror comedy thriller. It's very different, it's very interesting, and this is written and directed by Jim Cummings, and it is acted by him as well. I don't know anything about this man. I've looked up, and he does some small projects that I completely have no idea what they are. Never saw them before in my life. But let's go ahead and just talk about the movie first. So a woman has been brutally murdered on a vacation trip with her boyfriend in a cabin. The police investigate the scene. They interrogate people and go over the evidence numerous times. Things don't quite add up and doesn't make sense. Officer John Marshall is really just losing it. He's trying to keep his men from spreading rumors of a werewolf murdering people. His father, who is also the town's deputy, is in very poor health, so he's watching over him. While he's watching over his father, he's also watching and caring for his teenage daughter, which his ex-wife has left for him, and he attends an AA meeting every week. This just causes the Officer Marshall to just lose his temper into violent rages. It appears everyone is doing their best to work against him. It's like they're completely incompetent and don't care about him and what he's trying to do, and he's like fighting this tide to work with them. But he isn't the most likable person to be around. Along with this case of people getting murdered, which appears to be a werewolf, can he find a werewolf and stop it from claiming more victims? So as I said in the beginning of this video, you get that really odd scene. Okay. I wish I stopped seeing that scene. The scenes are pretty weird. There's sometimes the moments when these people converse, they don't sound like real people. They sound like, I don't know, like it sounds pretty artificial. It sounds like it's not the way people talk. Sort of like if you ever watched the movie Juno, or if you ever watched Fargo. This movie reminds me a lot like that. But perhaps you have never seen Juno, and perhaps you have never seen Fargo. So I'm going to do my best to try to explain what this movie's like for you. So with me going into this is not going to be a film that everyone's going to like. This film is not made for everyone. And because this film is not made for everyone, I'm going to have to say for the role that Jim Cummings plays in, a lot of people will say that he's overacting, and certain people say he plays it perfect. In my opinion, in my mind, in my biased mind, I believe he played it perfect. I believe he played this role as an insane person dealing with so many things that's happening all together at once. I believe he played it perfect. I like it when he goes over the top. I like it when he goes crazy. I like it when he just remains in that subtle moment and he stares at somebody and he's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. I'm tired. I actually feel for this man. And his role is fantastic. For him to write, direct, and to act in this movie, I believe it's an incredible job. It's a lot to take in from one person to play a role with someone who's so complex, and he does it perfect. He nails it. The writing for this movie is spectacular. It's awesome. It's fantastic. I think it's one of the best written movies out there for this year.
Beer bottle? Who would want to throw a beer bottle at a cop car?
And when you watch all the other actors and actresses, they are very good in their roles. They're very good in this movie. It just feels like they're very much like the side actors and actresses. This is the role for Jim Cummings. This is like his tour de force performance. This is like, he is the main show. He's the main performance of this entire movie. This was also a last movie for the actor Robert Forster. I couldn't tell you anything about him because I actually looked him up and I really didn't found any of those movies I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure I'd be watching movies and I'll see him. It's like, okay, that actor. But honestly, I didn't know. So this was his last movie. This movie was finished last year, so his role was complete finished. So if you know of this actor, and if you have seen, let me know down in the comments below of a movie that you remember watching him inside of. But as I have said, this movie is very well written. It's very well acted. The scenes actually worked. The first time you watch it, you may not really care for it. And I am completely honest, I've watched this movie actually twice. Because the first time, I felt like I was supposed to be getting something, and I really wasn't. And there are certain things that a person will say that happens later in the movie, and you catch on, it's like, oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense now. It's something that I believe that would require multiple viewings. And because of this film, and the time it's released, and everything that's been happening, I don't believe people will recognize this film like it deserves the recognition. I'm pretty sure 10 years or later, people will start watching this movie. It'll become a classic to somebody, more of a cult film classic, and people will be wanting to see more of this type of movie. I believe he should be directing more movies. If this is what he presents as his first feature film, or second, third, I don't know, I would like to see more of it. I would like to tell you more of the movie, but it will just give away too much because the ending was kind of an ending I was not really catching on to until the very last 10-15 minutes, and it does surprise you. I would say that. So, this is a spoiler free. It will surprise you, and you're just like, oh, okay. It's very interesting. It takes a lot of work to balance horror and comedy, and I believe it's the best of two different genres to blend if you can do it right. And there's very few who has done this type of genre blending right, and I believe he has nailed it for this movie. Dark humor, don't expect to be laughed out loud, but I think as you watch it more, you start laughing a bit more because some of these scenes are just so insane. There are some great moments in this movie, and it's not to be missed. Just letting you know, this movie is a very much of a strong R, and anybody who knows me personally or knows as I review movies, there is two things I really don't care for, and that's like extreme, strong gore violence, because it just really does nothing for me. Violence is, it's like, okay, but when it gets like overly bloody and overly gory, I just like kind of just stop and lose it, and I don't care. And that is a lot of language. I don't care for an immense amount of language. This movie is not really the violence because it's taken it as a more of a detective mode, as a CSI, just investigating, so that part didn't really bother me too much. It was the language, and it is a strong R rating, so if you're curious why this movie will be that strong R rating and why it is, this is what I put down right now for you, and you can take that for yourself or whatever it is that you wish to. And that is my review. I would say I highly recommend this film, and it is something that's going to require multiple viewings, because the first time you may not get everything. The second time you'll get a bit more, and I'm pretty sure the third time will get even better. I am so glad he didn't go like balls out crazy like Nicolas Cage, because I was hinting that from his role, and I really thought he was going to just go flipping crazy and just lose it like Nicolas Cage does in his movie, and he kept it very contained to certain times. So Good job. That's all I have. So I'll see you down to the next video, next review, next movie opening, something, whenever. And yeah, that's it. So take care. Have a lovely day and have a lovely holiday. If I don't see you around the next time, take care. Cheers. So, as I said in the beginning of this, and people will start noticing. I can't even speak right. People will start noticing. And that is my comment.